I had founded Uncommon Schools, and Dave Levin had founded KIPP, and we found ourselves interviewing the same people for jobs, and we found ourselves looking at each other's schools and experience to try to improve the work that we were doing. And one evening we were having a beer and talked about how we could essentially do more and better work together than fighting with each other over the limited talent and resources that were out there, and hatched an idea of training teachers and eventually training school leaders together to benefit Uncommon and KIPP and Achievement First in the charter sector in the short run, but really our vision in the long run was to share the work that we were doing in the systems that we had created with charter and district public schools in New York and eventually across the country. And we had originally thought about doing this work and building some kind of academy on Governor's Island just south of Manhattan, and then just started working on the idea, and the Governor's Island piece of it fell through, at least at the time, and we have subsequently built what we first called Teacher U and eventually called Relay, a graduate school of education in New York and 12 other cities around the country. So we went to, it was an audacious idea that we would start training teachers at scale, particularly because in the state of New York, really certification is connected to higher education and to master's degrees. And so by saying that we wanted to train novice teachers in particular and prepare new teachers, we were essentially saying that we wanted to train them for certification and train them for master's degrees. And so we went on a tour of, it was about a dozen universities and colleges and talked to presidents of universities and deans of schools of education, and met with a fair amount of skepticism and advice. I remember particularly Arthur Levine, who was then president of Columbia Teachers College, who encouraged us to work with an out-of-the-way, small, potentially not financially stable institution. We eventually came across David Steiner, who at the time was the dean of the School of Education at Hunter College, and eventually became the commissioner of education for the state of New York, and is now a professor and director of an institute at Johns Hopkins University. And David was essentially waiting for us with open arms. So rather than hearing from him skepticism and concern about how our idea wouldn't work, he was pitching the idea that we partner with him and his colleagues at Hunter College and build what we called Teacher U at Hunter College there, and that's how we got started. Other higher ed institutions could not get their head around releasing some kind of control and creating a lab or a new way of doing things within their existing institution. Their faculty had pride of their work, and so trying to do what we wanted to do within those existing institutions was challenging. And that's why Hunter College proved to be such a terrific launchpad, because David and the president, Jennifer Rabb, and the department chairs at Hunter College were wide open to working with us. The main thing is that for 100 years, schools of education were mostly training undergraduates in large number in a program that was theory-based and was not clinically rich, did not have a lot of practice, and wasn't focused on teaching the techniques and practices that teachers would need to make their instruction effective right away. That schools of education tended to eschew classroom management in favor of engagement techniques, but teachers who couldn't manage their classrooms, and something like 3/4 of teachers reported that they didn't feel like they could manage they weren't prepared to manage their classrooms, couldn't get to the point of engagement. And so we were very practical in the way in which we were training our teachers in our schools, and we wanted to bring those systems to bear on teacher preparation, while at the same time going deep on content and content pedagogy, deep on mindset, deep on a lot of things that would help teachers to have an intellectual framework for the work that they were going to do, but always grounding it in practice. As great as our experience was with Hunter College, and really it gave us a launch. It was financially challenging because Hunter College collected the tuition and we had the lion's share of the expenses. We did not have the freedom to innovate maximally beyond the contours of the course of studies that had been approved by the state, and in particular, our program to train high school teachers was subject to the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at Hunter College, and over the long run, we did not have control over our destiny, and so we went to the state of New York and applied for a charter to be a new independent and eventually accredited institution of higher education. Relay is right now 2,000 teachers in 12 states around the country. We have campuses, Relay is now 2,000 teachers in 12 cities around the country. And in addition, there are 400 principals and principal supervisors in a national academy that's reaching folks in 20 states around the country. And there are now other charter-inspired, mostly charter-inspired programs that are themselves working and developing programs for training teachers within higher education. I think of Aspire U in California. I think of Match in Boston, which has created the Sposado Graduate School of Education, and there are others. So this is a promising development in training teachers and principals.